actually being there as part of the most famous wrestling war in modern wrestling history?
Well, you know, I was in the middle of it, and I didn't know I was in a war. Same studio, Saturday mornings. Our group would tape first, so Ann Gunkel's crew members would set up the ring, and then Barnett's would do the hour, and the ring would still stay up. Turner was producing both shows, and Barnett's group would have their hour, and they'd tear the ring down. And we're going through the studio and going through the dressing room saying, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. If you're in the South, you're in one town Monday, next Monday you're there.
Yeah.
The next Monday you're there.
They're going to see you all the time.
Monday you're there 52 times a year. Well, in New York or some of the other territories, you might only be in New York 5-6 times a year. 3 of those shows you might not be on it. You might be in Philly or you might be in Washington.
Yeah.
So, boy, in the South, you had to be up every night because next week you're going to be there again. My wife's grandmother made all my masks, made my capes, my outfits. I ordered boots. And Boris Malenko, he was in the territory at the time, and he wasn't my manager at the time, but he was going to be. So he and I went to Park Center in Charlotte every Monday. They had matches in the evening. We'd go down there in the morning, and we'd just practice holds and counters. And Ole had approached me with that. He says, we got too many damn mask guys in here. He says, your objective is going to come down, and you're going to eliminate one by one all the masked men in the territory and expose them and run them out of the territory, and it's going to come down to you in wrestling number 2. Because he's a big baby face, you guys are going to make money. I said, okay.
There you go. That's what you work toward.
Yeah.
That's what you need to know.
And he would do his promos. I see what you're doing, and eventually it's going to come down to you and I, and my promos would be, one's gone, this guy's gone, your friend's gone, this guy's gone, and eventually you're going to be gone. I was losing $2,000 and $3,000 a week going to Japan.
From Georgia.
From Georgia. But I gave Inoki my word, and I told him, I said, you don't believe this. And I took my paychecks for 6 or 8 weeks. And I said, here's what I'm making here, and here's what I'm making home. But I told you I was coming, and I gave you my word. But I don't think I'm going to be able to come anymore. So, okay, appreciate that, thank you. Then, all of a sudden, I get another call, and the money in Japan was over the money in Georgia.
Yeah. Thunderbolt Patterson, how'd you get a match out of the T-Bolt?
I didn't get a match out of it. I know Thunderbolt's an ordained minister. Thunderbolt tried to get me fired.
What?
A couple times.
For what?
Because he figured I was trying to beat him up, and I was trying to make a match out of it. You know, this business is give and take. It's not take.
Yeah.
I want to have a good match. I want you to have a good match, but we have to have a good match together. Thunderbolt was in it for him. And we were sitting back in the dressing room, we're reading this wrestling magazine, and on the cover it says Bearcat Brown died. And they had a big article about recent. And then everybody said, oh my God, put the book down, they're getting ready, and Bearcat walks through the door. I thought you were dead. Tommy Rich had a good babyface interview. He's a good-looking guy. He could have benefited from going to the gym, but he didn't need to because everybody loved him anyway.
Yeah.
You couldn't have a bad match with Tommy. You just couldn't have a bad match.
Promoters tell you a lot of things,
yeah.
But for him to actually have believed it enough to write a book, go on television, make these claims, file lawsuits, it was only because I wouldn't sleep with Barnett. If Jim Barnett was going to sleep, and there's no evidence that he ever did with any wrestlers, would he have picked Jim Wilson first? People tune in Georgia Championship Wrestling on Channel 17, and there's Freddie Miller introducing Vince McMahon Jr., who says, we got a great new program for you that you're going to see and you're going to love.
And they had offered Ole a job, I know, on 2 or 3 occasions. But he turned them down.
Yeah, and that
irascible.
That offer was not extended anymore after that.
No.
There was the old Atlanta wrestling, there was the Georgia Championship Wrestling heyday between 74 and 84, and then there was the Crockett years and the Monday Night Wars that followed in WCW. So Atlanta, if it hadn't been for the city of Atlanta, wrestling history would have been significantly different.